This week in the League of Legends, we've got patch 5.14, which represents Gangplank's update, Misfortune's update, and the Bilgewater event. In addition to this, we have an official announcement about Fiora's remake, and some tiny tinkerings here and there. All this and more on the Spazzy Gaming Web Show.
This is Water Elemental.
And this is Axis, and we are here today to talk about the League of Legends. This is an ongoing show. We talk a little bit about everyone's favorite mobile style battle game.
Sorry for the delay. Because of patch 5.14, we had to wait today because they had everything roll out today.
Indeed. But we get to tinker around with it. We had some minor troubles today, but we're able to play around and just have a good time. And
it's great.
It's fun.
So
I'm looking forward more to day 2, to be honest.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, part 2.
So right now, it's part 1, which unlocks the Bilgewater Bridge, as well as objectives for 2 icons, I believe. One for Graves and one for Twisted Fate.
Indeed.
I haven't been able to get the page up because it's crashed, but you're supposed to click in from the client into a sign-in sheet, kind of like the previous events where you just log in. And from what I read, if you want the Twisted Fate one, it is primarily assists, and you have to get a certain amount of wins, I believe. And for Graves, it's 50 kills and 1 victory on the bridge. So I believe that is how you get them. Might be wrong. If there's a correction on that, I'll put it in the little description bottom thing. Sweet. Wait, no, my bad. It's actually 25,000 gold and 50 assists. That's the one. But read on. It's interesting, and they're going to have more icons that follow through as time progresses. They also have paper craft things for 3 characters if you want to make your own little paper craft guys. Yay! But some of the meat and gritty is the meat and gritty. The first 2 skins have unlocked for purchase. That is Cutthroat Graves and Cut Purse Twisted Fate, $7.50 each. We made fun of the fact that Purse Twisted Fate looks like butt.
It's not very interesting.
Cutthroat Graves does look great because he still shoots tiny bullets and shells out of his cannon.
Right. He ejects just like this disc. It's like, oh.
Yeah, it's goofy. But for a Grave skin, I think it does him some justice.
And we've got, of course, the Butcher's Bridge, like we mentioned before. It's a reskinned ARAM map with a couple of unique interactions between characters. It's got that brand new announcer, which is Gangplank. And it's really neat.
Yep. You can also buy 2 ward skins. You have the Mother Serpent and the Slaughter Fleet. Both of them are extremely good-looking ward skins. And you can get the Bilgewater Coin Crest for 250 RP. They also have on sale anything related to Butcher Bay on the merchandise store. This includes figurines off with $5 off, which is a big deal for me because I got to get myself a Nautilus little bust. Yeah, also Nami is on sale. I didn't know she was from Bilgewater.
Anything water. Fizz is from Bilgewater, technically.
Right. Which we have news on him later. Ooh.
Interesting.
So, they had a huge lore dump as well for Act 1, focusing around Gangplank and Graves. I'm working through it as of right now.
It's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff. My car broke down.
This is the biggest lore thing they've done since they changed everything.
We were complaining that we needed lore in these huge events, and so far they've delivered.
You'd think they hired a writer or something.
What? So check it out, guys. Let us know what you think about the event so far. We will keep you up to date. I will do some solo videos to make sure you guys are up to date on events and updates. No, objectives.
There we go.
Now
we're gonna move on to the official patch notes 5.14. In addition to all these game modes, we did get some balance changes. We're going to run through those real quick. Now, obviously, Gangplank and Misfortune, they've gotten their, visual update stuff put together. Gangplank, we haven't had really a day or so to look at him. He's sort of not even out.
We've been playing ARAM too, so we can't really...
We're tinkering with him. We'll get a full review of Gangplank next week. Misfortune obviously got the change to her character aesthetically, but her skills only changed just slightly. Double Up now deals 150 bonus damage to the second target if it kills the first enemy. Additionally, the logic is more predictable. It will attempt to find a target directly behind the first. If no target is found, it will go at a 60-degree angle to the closest target. And this is a big nerf from the 100-degree bounce ratio that it had before. Impure Shots has a slightly reduced cooldown, no longer provides the healing debuff, which is terrible, and on its activation, she gets a full stack of her passive added to her character. And finally, Make Its Rain slow percentage at lower levels was increased and decreased at higher levels.
Well, it just went down to 60% all around, but from 25 to 60, a little bit better early game.
Ahri's charm now interacts more uniform with monsters. Doesn't cause them to freak out or act unnaturally, just so you don't mess up your jungle. Azir got nerfed for being too powerful. His passive no longer gains attack speed based on Azir's cooldown reduction, which is good. Arise now grants him passive attack speed, however, which is pretty good. And Shifting Sands will no longer knock up the first target hits. That's a pretty big nerf to his control game. Darius's Apprehend now gives vision, which is cool. Echo's mana cost on Q went down just slightly at all ranks. In addition, Phase Drive had its cooldown slightly reduced in the early game, so you can use it a little more successively. Elise's Cocoon stun duration went up at early levels, and Spider Form now grants her Spiderling's magic damage instead of physical damage. The ability ratio on Spiderling auto attacks has gone up just slightly, and their movement speed has also increased just slightly. They've also made it so their pathing is a little bit easier to figure out, and that they don't stall out when you descend, which is a good thing.
Evelyn, Hate Spike, the damage has lowered at later levels and stayed the same at early. And Agony, the slow has been increased up to 80% at max level.
It's pretty good. Evelyn's really strong in the early game and really ridiculous in the late game, so that's a good curb to her power.
Callistier, her Q now properly queues up on cast after her basic attack completes, and now her Sentinel will now properly queues up on the cast after her basic attack completes. So they weren't going off correctly from what I'm
with
assuming.
the change of her interaction of when she can cast her skills, well, in the midst of her leaps, they've made it so they only go up after the leap. So this is a change to that. Rumble, they've changed it so that way all of his abilities no longer hit untargetable enemies. Things like Zhonya's, Vladimir's Pool, Fizz's Jump. Kind of a nerf to some of his interesting viability, but Rumble just has so much damage right now, that's not a big deal.
Yeah, so, oh no, you can't go burn out the characters that aren't supposed to be taking damage anyways.
Ryze got nerfed pretty hard.
Again.
Well, he's just ridiculous right now. Arcane Mastery, the stack duration went down from 10 seconds to 6 seconds. The overload damage on his Q went down significantly at higher ranks. The flat damage, that is. And Spell Flux, the flat damage went down at all ranks, and the ability power ratio went down.
Tahm Kench, just as we said, his damage was lacking, so Riot responded by giving him some damage buffs. Tongue Lash, the damage is increased significantly late game. And on his ultimate, his bonus damage ratio went up to 8%, and his cooldown went down heavily in the earlier ranks. So he's going to be more mobile, he's going to be dealing more passive or his percentage damage, and his Tongue Lash is going to be more powerful late game.
Indeed.
If only he was a little bit tankier.
Well, now that you can build flat health and get a ton of damage from it, I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue. Vayne actually got a buff.
Yep.
So Tumble's auto attack after using her Q resets the cooldown of Tumble. Well, rather, it starts the cooldown when you fire the projectile rather than when it connects. So you can probably get an extra Tumble off every 0.4 seconds if you're using them right, which is pretty good. Yasuo Steel Tempest got a bug fix, so it now properly applies on-hit effects to the first target. I wasn't noticing any issues with this, but apparently it's a problem. Now it's fixed.
Oh, look, we got some more changes to jungle items.
Hunter's Machete, you get 1 more mana per second while in combat with monsters, which is good for mana sustained junglers. Runeglaive got nerfed. It no longer converts the entirety of the auto attack into magic damage. Instead, it only converts the bonus damage. It no longer applies the AoE onto champions and minions. It only applies to monsters. However, it will now deal double its bonus damage to the first monster that it hits. So they basically did this to counter Ezreal, and every other character that liked and wanted to try Runeglaive is now garbage because of this.
Yes.
So another case of nerfing the item rather than the character, which is really sad. Zeke's Herald got removed.
It's now Zeke's Harbinger, which I think is actually a cooler name.
We got to put Zeke's Herald up with a removed item list.
We need I honestly, when I move into my new place, we need to make a plaque of just retired items, and we have to have a ceremony from now on, like some candles, some sad music. Do you remember me? Oh well, I can't really use that because we got flagged last time.
Right.
Anyways, back to the item at hand. It builds off a Glacial Shroud, Amplifying Tome, and 480 gold.
This is one of my favorite new items.
250 mana, 35 armor, 50 ability power, cooldown reduction by 10%, and unique active bind to target ally. This will remove all other conduits on your target. This is a thing for Callista, so you can't bind with Callista. And the passive is...
Well, no, the conduits means like you can't have two people binding to the same guy.
Right. So I figured that the conduit would work the same as Callista's effect.
It sort of does. With Callista, you throw down the item, you have your self-stun, and then they pick it up. They have their self-stun.
So, okay, I got confused. Like, I thought that was what they called that effect.
Oh, no.
Okay.
That's a pact thing.
Okay.
So conduit is self-exclusive to the item.
Gotcha.
You can only have one conduit between two players. So I believe from what I remember, it puts a buff on both of you, and if someone else tries to put the buff on you, it removes it from all of you and then resets that.
Okay, just wording was a little weird for me.
It's a little goofy, but it's an amazing item. It is my favorite new item.
So what Conduit does is, when you are within 1,000 units of each other, you and your ally generate charges, stacking until 100 are reached and lasting for about 8 seconds. Attacking or using ability generates extra charges. At maximum charges, causing damage consumes all charges and increasing you and your ally's ability power by 20% and critical strike by 50 for 6 seconds.
So this is really good. Critical strike and ability power are two relatively mutually exclusive buffs. Characters that crit generally don't really use that much AP. Characters with AP generally don't use too much crit. Notable examples, obviously, are Kale, Teemo, and others. The nice thing is because the critical strike goes off of their base AD table, usually their base AD is not very good. So this, right. I don't see this as being a double dip item. I see this as being, whoever you put this on, they'll do relatively well, but not crazy well. So this is my favorite new item. I love playing Blitzcrank. I love playing Mana Blitzcrank. This is awesome for him. I like playing kind of sit on the ADC and have a good time characters like Zillion. I like playing mid laners that maybe need some utility late game like Syndra or Veigar. And building this on them, all of a sudden, I have 20% AP. You're dead.
Right, because late game, most of the time, mages are sticking with either their support and AD carry, or with the jungler and the tank. So binding to someone that can use that is very helpful, and I think that will actually add some new dynamics to item comps. Like, who wants to get Zeke's Harbinger? Who, what do we want to do? Oh, we have an Annie in the team as a support? Definitely get one for her. Oh, we have a Fiddlesticks? Get that for her.
And the itemization on this is really good. Armor, mana, and ability power means that a lot of these kind of hybrid, dull characters won't be picking up this item. But this item will be very good for sort of as a defensive item that you can pick up, that you can do well with. That still isn't going to be like a must-buy. This is a tactical item. And these are my favorite kinds of items.
I just realized that Nami would be phenomenal with this.
Indeed.
Hey, I'm just going to put this buff on you. Oh, I also gave you 20% ability power and like 50% crit. Have fun.
And you can the thing is with Nami is you get this item, you get the item that increases their attack speed, and you're double dipping crit, attack speed, on hit effects, and movement speed.
Yeah, the Crucible. Oh god. Oh, I always build Crucible on her too.
You can be cocktail Nami and be like, drink this. It's good for you.
Drinks, cigarettes, hoppingers.
And pretty good. I'm going to try it out some more. I'll let you guys know what I think next week, maybe after we get some tinkering with.
So the next interesting thing is when you kill Baron or Dragon now, it will make a new global death sound. So if you don't have vision, you still hear it.
So this is a weird thing. Sometimes you would randomly hear the dragon moan when it died, and you could type in a chat message and say, okay, dragon's going to be at this time. Or you would see the buff pop up on someone, you'd type it in. They've sort of removed that middleman step where it's like, okay, dragon went down this time. That puts the timer up on your jungle tab so you can see it no matter what. This kind of removes a layer from the gameplay, but it's kind of an arbitrary layer. If you saw even one person when the dragon died, you have the timer. If you catch sight of something and you miss it by a second, it's sort of an extra mental step you have to take, and it makes it harder to convince your allies. So this is a decent change, but I feel like we're getting a little bit too close to every camp having a countdown on it, and every character being able to see and be like, I'm going to go to blue now. I'm going to go to enemy blue now. It's a little too easy, but because of the way they had their game designed already, it's kind of arbitrary, so it doesn't matter too much. I'm not bothered by it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where at first you're like, really? Do you really have to dumb it down? But again, if you're a player that's actually paying attention to that kind of stuff, you already know the steps to do it. Either you already have it warded and you've noticed, or you are always keeping an eye on
Buffs and
buffs.
everything,
Yeah,
so.
which that's what I do. I always kind of like check in and see if they're missing and one of them pops out. I'm watching them to see if anything goes.
Exactly. So, nothing really too wild. Honestly, this is not a particularly game-changing change, to be sure.
But it's inconvenient.
Indeed. Other than that, we've got Butcher Bridge, we've got Gangplank, and Misfortune. We're going to be going over Misfortune with the minor changes and Gangplank with the big changes, as well as our thoughts on the Bilgewater event next week. We gave you some events and some opinions now, but there will be more, because next week we're just going to have tons more. So we're going to talk about it then, guys.
So, Fiora got a surprise champion update, and at first we thought it was just a new model. No, this came out of left field. Everybody was hinting at it, and everybody's like, all right, it's probably going to be like a Xin, or, you know, we're going to get Arteric, or we're going to get another fighter, a Talon, and then they're like, no, it's Fiora. So, whole new set, and pretty interesting.
Yeah, when Fiora first came out, I actually didn't like her very much. I thought she was one of the most boring, mundane characters in the game.
Easy to
because
counter.
she was.
Easy to counter, easy to kind of like bait.
Easy to counter, extremely difficult to play against if you were a character of a specific type. But, you know, if you're a mid laner, if you're a top laner, or a jungle, you literally just laugh at Fiora. If you're a support or an ADC, you die to Fiora. Those are the rules. She had a very boring and simple to counter kit. And
she only saw a lot of play when you were able to stack Tiamats, and she would ult, and you just have this cheesy build.
Well, even now, she does fair, but because she just sits on your ADC, kills them, and then dies.
Right.
And so trading a top laner for an ADC is not a big deal.
She had no heals, no damage.
She has a sustain tool.
Right, but it wasn't enough to make a difference. Anyways, new kit, starting out with her passive.
So her passive is called Duelist Dance. Basically, when you're near an enemy champion, you'll get a little indicator on their portrait. It'll create a little zone around the character where if you attack that position from that angle, you will deal bonus true damage, you'll heal for a small percentage of your HP, and you'll gain a short boost of movement speed. She will begin to reveal a new weak spot whenever she attacks one, and between that time there'll be a small delay, so it sort of has to coalesce on their character frame. It's really interesting. Lunge is her Q ability. It's all kind of the same as before, except now instead of being targeted, she just fires in one direction. Now, she'll deal damage when she lands there. She'll also apply on-hit effects. And Lunge will basically put up a little indicator. You charge to that area, and then you attack any character within the mini bubble that's there. So, potentially, you can line this up, and she'll attempt to hit the weak spots if she can. If it's on the opposite side, obviously she won't. But if it's like at an angle, she will certainly try. So it's very cool now. Riposte. Fiora will enter a defensive stance and parry all damage and hard crowd control abilities for a fraction of a second. And after she is done parrying, Fiora will attack in that target direction, and it will damage and briefly slow the target. If she repels a hard CC, she will stun instead of slow. This is really cool. It's no longer just click it and you wait for it to hit you. It's actually like a targeted skill shot. So the overlay is where she's going to do damage and stun/slow. And the direction is also determinate of where you're blocking skill shots. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, and the UI is very clear about how far the skill shot's going to be, where you're covered. So very cool. I really like this ability.
And her final basic ability is called Blade Work. Fiora gains a basic attack speed increase on her next two basic attacks. The first one cannot crit, but it will slow the target guaranteed. The second one will not slow, but it will guarantee critical strike. So it's sort of like a slow stab. So it's really neat there. Her final ability is called Grand Challenge. She'll choose a character, an enemy character. You just target them. It will create a zone around them, and within that zone, they'll have all parts of the character portrait lit up with weak spots from her passive. When she attacks these weak spots, she does increased true damage, she gains an increased heal, and increased movement speed. And if she manages to hit all four of those weak spots, that zone is converted into a long-lasting area that will heal Fiora and any allies that she might have.
This is probably the most unique ult I have seen in this game.
She's now my biggest complaint about her was
boring.
That she was one of the most boring characters. Now she's one of the most interesting characters.
Yeah,
total turnaround.
Total turnaround. Like when I was watching the video and I saw that giant circle, I'm like, oh, that's neat. And then I noticed like it was like I thought it was a timer. So I'm like, okay, she's just going around in a circle alongside the timer. Then I realized no, she's actually plucking out the sections. And then the heel popped. I'm like, oh my god, that is so cool.
It's really neat utility.
I have heard two different things about her appearance, though. Some people really like her new sleek design. Some people really despise it. I'm on the fence about it. I really like seeing female characters in heavier armor, which her old model had. This model feels like she's in a Power Ranger suit. Don't get me wrong. I love boob cups.
She's got a really tight figure, but on her duelist arm is really armored up, and as well as her other arm has got the leather for the riposting, for the fencing, for blocking her sword. So I'm a sucker for. I've always been a sucker for Fiora's hair. I love the dye. I love the crazy colored hair. I mean, I hate Jinx, but I love her hair, and so I love that. It feels very angular. It's got the Demacian colors, which I like.
I got more of a Ionian vibe from her, actually.
Really? No, she's got all the Demacian colors. Ionia's not really that angular.
No, but as far as like the clean and just kind of.
That's true. I'll give you that.
Because they always felt clean to me. So I know she's from Demacia though, but it looks good.
I think this new character design, the way that not only her model looks, but the way her skills interact, I think is going to pave the way for a lot of cool skins. The
first thing everybody at work was telling me, it's like, have you seen the new Fiora update? Yeah. Have you found any images of Headmaster Fiora? They were curious, and it still looks sexy.
So there we have it. But we'll have, obviously, more information on Fiora when she comes out. I'm probably going to actually play her now.
Yeah, I'm going to have to give her a shot. She seems like a fun
I love the idea of this character. Dark Souls fan, big Dark Souls fan. I play almost exclusively with rapiers in Dark Souls, which is why it was so disappointing when Fiora came out. Don't get me wrong. Demon Souls, I played Blue Blood Sword. Dark Souls, I played Baldur Swag Sword. Dark Souls 2 is Espada Ropera. And so, all very different playstyles, and I like the idea that this is a new playstyle that I can try out and parry. I love parrying in that game. That's why I use
parry.
When a guy swings an ultra great sword and you go, nope, you're dead. It's the best. It's the best, and I hope this is the best.
So, PvE news, there's not much since everything pretty much hit the mainland. But one of the big things is we have a new skin for Fizz, and that is Cottontail Fizz. And it is almost as disturbing as Lollipoppy. Oh, it is disturbing. So, instead of a shark that pops up, it's a giant bunny. When he puts his mark on someone, it's a very creepy, afraid carrot.
His whole skin just screams nightmares.
I'm gonna diddle you. It's all I get out of it, but...
Uncle Touchy's Puzzle Basement.
Another thing on the PvE is they found some assets for the Ward skin selection, so maybe there is a better way to do it outside of the... or inside of the Champion Select screen.
Yay!
Because going to the store and doing it, you always forget between matches. And I do want to switch up between Ward skins, because I got a couple.
That's right. But, yeah, that's it for official news this week, guys. We're running a little bit long, so we'll only do one question this week, but we'll move on to our own section here. Our first question today comes from Leonardo Vengas. He says, pick any 3 champions from the visual change, rework, gameplay, or relaunch pool. Which ones did you dislike, and which ones did you really like? So I guess, of 3, pick one that you like, one that you dislike, and one that you don't really care.
Offhand, rework-wise, one that I liked, Karma. Visually, I liked the way Karma turned out. She didn't look as kind of 70s, like disco dancer. She actually felt like someone from Ionian, got the more Asian format to her, and her kit became a lot more fun. I do miss playing support Karma, but her new kit is a lot of fun to play when you get the chance.
One that I liked a lot was Trundle. Trundle was one of my favorite characters back in the day. I played him as a duelist. I played him using his ult and his bite, and I liked the CC reduction. Now he's kind of rather than just being a tank, now he's like an active heal tank. drop your zone, you ult, you bite, you use healing items, you bite, you lifesteal. It's really fun. It's really interesting gameplay, and you can really game it to have a good time.
One that we disliked, I gotta say Vhagar. I didn't like the changes that they did to Vhagar. His model update was needed, but every other gameplay aspect kind of took away fun.
One that I disliked especially was Sejuani. Sejuani was my favorite jungle before the change to her. They basically took all the parts of her kit where basically you would stack up slows and you could double down and you would, you'd have these pop-off moments where you're like, is the slow still on her? I'm going to pop Permafrost and let's see if it hits. And now it's a very boring, stand on the enemy character, use your passive damage, ult when necessary. Before, she wasn't even that very good before, and that was okay because the thing is she was an unexpected character. I like sort of those dark horse characters where they're strong if you don't build against them. And Sejuani was the perfect example of that. And they took her from being this really kind of out of the blue, like, where did all that damage come from character to, yeah, she's blatantly meta OP with Cinderhulk. I guess she's banned every game and she's going to get nerfed. And it's never going to be the Sejuani that I liked. And that makes me sad.
And a champion that we feel like should have a remake?
Well, no, one that the one that happened that you didn't feel was necessary or that just, it didn't matter. I would say, for me, it would be Garen. I loved Garen before. I loved the way his interactions worked. I loved kind of his old skill. And they just updated him visually. They changed the way that his move speed changes were. The one thing I did like about it was they changed the fact that you got less flat armor and more of a percentage base, which was good for his overall gameplay. But they really nerfed the hell out of his passive, which made me sad.
Skarner. He got an update, and it didn't help. It didn't help. And Skarner, it's one of those characters where he's so unique, and he's so much fun to watch played, but he just still doesn't have enough to play.
Feel my sting!
There was that bug last week, or a couple weeks ago, where the instant backing, and they had to disable ranked for a while, and people were going in Skarner and be like, oh, wee! And you just see, it would take a couple of seconds, but the person would fly in and then just get zapped.
I wonder if you can do that with Tom Kench.
How? Wee!
Because he bites you, goes down and teleports. So I wonder if it drags him with.
I don't know.
It's worth checking out.
The bug's been fixed, but I can't believe we didn't mention this, but yeah, they had to disable ranked because of that bug, and it was just happening. First it was like Jinx, and then it just kind of kept going out, and people were finding more characters, and I'm just like, this should be its own game mode, Instabase.
Darn straight. But that's it for official stuff this week, guys. We're running pretty long here, so we're going to cut it off. But we'd love questions. If you have any questions about us, about the show, about League of Legends, about Spastic Gaming, about video games in general, about what's happening with the show, about what's happening with us, about what's happening with you, anything really, please post it in the comment section below. Send it to our email at spasticgaming@gmail.com or post it on our Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, or our website, all of which are linked in the information down below.
Snail mail.
Take a look there. It's all there. We love questions, guys.
One more week until we decide on the character of choice. We're going to start our first lull.
Indeed. Go watch the video.
Yep.
Vote on the poll.
Vote. Leave a comment section down low or anywhere. We have gotten a lot of good ideas for other characters we can cover in other games, which is great. Keep sending it to us. There is no wrong answer, except for like us. Lore about us would just be weird because we're not really interesting people.
I am. Patreon.com/spasticgaming if you're interested in more content from us. It's a great way to support the show. It's a great way to get more stuff if you like it. And, yeah, pretty fun. But we got tons of stuff coming for next week. We got more Bilgewater stuff, so look forward to it. We'll have some champion reviews as well when we get more practice with them. And we'll see you guys then. Otherwise, it's been Axis.
And Water Elemental.